And we're back with breaking news. Coke Zero Sugar might be the best Coke ever.
That's right, Jim. Make sure... Jim.
Ooh, yes, this tastes like the best Coke ever to me.
We're on the air.
I need to try it first.
With zero sugar and refreshingly delicious, is Coca-Cola Zero Sugar the best Coke ever? Pick up a 20-ounce from Speedway today.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
This is John Silver, lead recruiter of the Dark Order, and you are listening to All Things Elite.
Welcome to the 143rd episode of Social Suplex's podcast about AEW with a proclivity for positivity. Welcome to All Things Elite. My name is Austin Sumwoods, and I am the host of this lovely show. Joining with me, as always, is my good buddy and friend, Floyd Johnson Jr. It's been really quick since we've already re-met up again since we did Revolution. But, Floyd, I'll ask you again. How you doing, man?
Detroit wrestling. I'm going to Detroit for wrestling, so I'm doing pretty good.
Woo!
I got, like, my next 3 months, April, May, June, are going to be so freaking busy that I'm, like, going to be gone everywhere. FTR just announced that they're going to be doing independent wrestling shows. So the day after my birthday, June 11th, they are going to be in West Virginia with wrestling the American Wolves with Dennis Condrey in their corner. And if you ever follow Dax, who I pretty much follow all the time, this man loves him some Dennis Condrey. The only person that he loves more than Dennis Condrey is probably Bret the Hitman Hart. So that's going to be cool to see. And so I will be driving from Oklahoma to St. Louis because my grandma's birthday is the day before mine, and she turns 90 this year. And then the day after my birthday, I will be in West Virginia watching FTR against the American Wolves. I am very excited about that. So news just coming. I keep adding dates. I need to subtract some dates.
Well, don't subtract Detroit because that's going to be a hell of a show. But we are not just joined just by us two. We have our good friend J.R. from the Trick or Treater podcast. We have him joining us. J.R., man, how you doing?
I am doing well. As things are getting better across the United States and restrictions are essentially being fully lifted across all 50 states, I'm starting to feel like more productive with my job and trying to plan my summer camp. So unfortunately, my summer is going to be booked with education. Well, fortunately, because I get to make difference in students' lives, but unfortunately, I will not be able to partake in many events this summer. So I'm happy that my boy Floyd can go out and see our favorite tag team, FTR, in West Virginia, because that is an amazing independent promotion run that one of my good friends actually helps promote and produce. So I'm glad to hear that. Also, since we brought up Detroit, quick shout out.
You can get me free tickets, right? I just want to throw that out there. You can get me free tickets.
He's my boy, but he's not my boy like that. But I want to say this, because we talk about Detroit. I saw this amazing video from one half of the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley, who's the Impact. If you are not following Impact, watch it because they're doing some good things. And they had amazing back and forth between Alex Shelley and the Switchblade Jay White. Amazing promo. I can't wait to see where that feud goes. So if you haven't seen it, jump onto the YouTube and look up that Alex Shelley and Switchblade Jay White back and forth they had this week on Impact.
Yeah, shout out Motor City Machine Guns all day, every day. I love that team so much. But we got a lot to talk about because, I mean, the day we're recording this, Rampage finished up just last night. So we're going to be able to go through AEW Dynamite and Rampage from the same week, actually, this time. So we're going to get through all of that. But before we get into the show, I want to make sure you guys are downloading this fine show on Google or Apple Podcasts. If you listen to us on Spotify or any other podcasting platforms, give us a share with your friends, family, coworkers, whoever you wish. You can leave a rating, you can leave a review, and if you're so inclined, you can leave a donation through our podcast provider, Red Circle. But the easiest way to support us is on social media. On Twitter, we are at ATElitePod. At Social Suplex are the guys that make this show possible. Check out all the other podcasts that they have on their network. I am at Austin Szumowicz, SZUMOWICZ. Floyd is at Floyd Johnson Jr. on Twitter. And JR, we will throw it to you real quick. Plug everything where people can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Lucha Professor. Currently, right now, with our Trick or Treaters podcast, horror movies, we're currently taking a sabbatical for due to personal reasons. I was out sick for a while, and then my colleague is, he's in the middle of moving across states, so we hope to be back sometime in the spring. But that is our Trick or Treater podcast. It's at Trick or Treat Pod. That's at Trick or Treat Pod. So,
all right. Well, of course, we got to get into the big news of the week, and we can't hold it off until we talk about that segment in Dynamite. But we have to talk about the fact that Matt Hardy, his brother Jeff, has joined AEW. Jeff Hardy has become All Elite, and the Hardy Boys, one of the greatest tag teams of all time, has reunited for probably one last run in AEW. Huge moment, and we'll talk about the entire segment that happened on Dynamite with the debut. Absolutely incredible. I know myself, I was ecstatic when I saw it. It was one of the worst kept secrets. I mean, Jeff himself even mentioned it off topic. Like, when people asked him, he's like, oh, it's probably going to be an AEW. So it was about as worst kept of a secret as, like, CM Punk was. But you know what? Despite the fact the pop was still outstanding, it was still an incredible moment. Seeing them hugging in the ring, finally back together as the Hardys, was outstanding. I'm going to pass it to JR on his reaction to Jeff debuting in AEW, because we have a very specific reaction from our boy Floyd that I want to save for last. So, JR, what was your reaction to when Jeff arrived in AEW?
It's kind of hard because we all expected this. Like, that surprise was already like broken. You know, I've read, some of that Jeff Hardy did an interview that said he was coming. It was so great to see the pop, though, because there are a number of Jeff Hardy fans, a number of Hardy Boys fans, going back to when they kind of became a big deal, which was, I think we found out before we got on, is like they started around 98 when they had their feud with the Brood during the Attitude Era, and then just kept taking off. And so it was good. I'm just going to be completely honest. I've never was a Hardy Boys fan. I like Jeff more than I liked Matt, but I just never was. I was more of a Dudley Boys fan during that whole, Edge and Christian, Hardy Boys, Dudley's, feud that they had for a while. And I can respect that he did things in professional wrestling, and I respect that he has a big following. It just was never for me. I think I'll sum it up with this: is I don't know what their plans are in AEW. Obviously, they're going to definitely tag together, whatever the dream matches they want to do. The one thing I will say, though, is I think when we get to nostalgia, and everybody knows I'm a sucker for nostalgia, I think people are expecting these 1999 classics, and they need to remember that these guys, the Hardy Boys are 20 plus years in the business, and temper those expectations on what could potentially be given. So while you may expect this barn burner 8-star classic with the Young Bucks, it's kind of just bring things down to a little bit of reality, because they are older. They've had numerous amount of injuries, especially, Matt Hardy. We've detailed injuries he's accumulated just even AEW alone. So that's my only thing. Happy for them, but let's temper the potential expectations we have for them.
All right, then we'll go to Floyd then. So this isn't too off. This isn't too off then from what JR just said.
JR is the guy on Twitter, temper expectations guy. I've never understood why people have felt the need to temper people's expectations. Because you know what? It's not going to do anything. Everybody's going to expect them to be the same way forever, okay? And that's my thing with Jeff Hardy. I am 41 years old in June. I have been watching wrestling all of my life. This is like my third Hardy Boys reunion. Good Lord. They're like that old band that just won't go away. Like, dude, Jeff. I was like, man, go away. You know, he's old and he jumps off of high things. That's pretty much what Jeff Hardy brings to wrestling. I mean, I like Sting, and he is both older, and he jumps off of high things better. And then, you know, we got Darby Allin. It's like, what does Jeff Hardy really bring other than the name Jeff Hardy? And it's like, oh, the Hardy Boys versus this team. The Hardy Boys versus this team. As JR says, it's not going to be as good as anybody wants it to be. You're going to go and they're going to have they're going to get dragged to mid matches. So, I don't know. I've never been a big fan of Jeff Hardy. I've been tired of Jeff Hardy for about 12 years now. I had about a 3-month period where he was somewhat interesting when he was Brother Nero, and Matt Hardy dragged him to interesting. I was always when my favorite member of Team Extreme, of course, was Lita, and then Matt Hardy was second, and Jeff Hardy was like a distant third. So I am really not excited. I know we are the proclivity for positivity, but yeah, that's not Jeff's not someone I can be very positive about. I am not excited about him.
Yeah, Austin. He literally just said that Jeff Hardy, Shane McMahon.
Oh my God!
he's old and jumps off high things. That's what he just said. He just said Shane McMahon.
Well, I mean, I listen. Like the Jeff Hardy hate from Floyd, I can understand because it took this man so long to turn around with Darby Allin. This man took forever to get on. Like, because I love Darby from his first big match against Cody. But it took this man up until like now to be like, is Darby Allin one of my favorite wrestlers right now in AEW? And also, it took Cody leaving. So he only had to come to terms with that once Cody was gone. So the Jeff Hardy hate from him is not a surprise. But like, look, again, I don't know how much longer these guys are going to be like doing stuff anyway. The fact that their possible last run is going to be in AEW, like, hey, I'm all for that. And you know, I mean, again, these two guys have done so much for wrestling and they've done so much for the industry. And if those people are concerned about them taking a spot, like, first off, the AEW tag team division is stacked. Like, no one's going to be like, there's still so many guys that are going to be fine despite the Hardys showing up. So, like, I think this is just a cool little moment. And then again, like, for those people who are like, oh, AEW, like, all they do is cater to their hardcore fans. They're not doing enough to bring casuals in. Well, there you go. There's the fucking Hardy Boys.
Well, I will say this. I don't know anybody that's going to be like, man, Jeff Hardy, let's go ahead and watch it. God, it was just, and then he did the dance. Oh my God.
As he was coming down to the ring.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was like, oh, dude, again, why I don't root for good guys. And, I'm like, I guess if we get like Darby versus Jeff Hardy, I guess just Jeff Hardy. I mean, Darby will drag him to a great match because Darby's great. But we'll see. I don't know. I'm just like, even when I heard he was signing, when he got released, I was like, oh shit, 15th Hardy Boys reunion. You like, this is their farewell in AEW until their next farewell tour in like 5 years. No, but they did say this. They were like, man, we're gonna have our farewell in WWE, and it's just like.
You'll believe it when you see it.
Yeah, I believe it. They're never going to retire. Matt Hardy is going to be tagging with his children.
I also hope for Rey Mysterio.
Yes, but he had children much later in life. So he's going to be like 60 when he's tagging with his children.
What I will say this, Austin, quickly wrap it up. The amount of memes that came out because of Jeff Hardy's dancing through his brother getting his ass whooped that I saw on social media this week, priceless. Just good stuff that people were putting out there. I couldn't help but laugh.
Sure. I mean, hey, look, these two brothers have not been the best of friends at points. So, like, you know what? Like, Jeff would be the kind of guy who would be like, yeah, I'm back, baby. Oh, yeah, my brother's getting my ass kicked. Like I got to make sure he's okay first. But Regardless, we'll move over right now into the full AEW Dynamite review that took place from Estero, Florida. We opened up with Chris Jericho coming out to the ring, addressing the fact that he didn't shake Eddie Kingston's hand after their match at Revolution. And Jericho was talking about how it was one of the greatest matches in his career. And even though I lost to Eddie Kingston, it was still one of the greatest matches in my career, maybe my best in AEW. And he wanted to thank Eddie because he brought something out of Chris Jericho that I didn't think was still there. And I didn't live up to my word. I refused to shake his hand. I was frustrated. And I want to make it up to him. He beat me. He has my respect. I want to pay my debt to Eddie. So I want to apologize to him face to face. Eddie comes out, and Eddie Kingston, first off, shuts down a what chant. Fuck yeah. Like to that man to be shutting down a what chant. And also, who the fuck is whatting Eddie Kingston? Who is whatting Eddie Kingston? You don't what Eddie Kingston. That's not a thing that you do. I love how he shut that down. And getting back into the actual promo, he talked about how the Friday night before the biggest night of my career, he didn't want to show up because he wanted to go out and drink because Chris got into his head. He's lost to Punk. He's lost to Mox. He's lost to Miro. He's lost so many big matches. But the thing that gave him courage was when 4 separate people came up to him at FanFest and said they didn't end themselves because they read his piece in the Players Tribune. And he cried in his hotel room because he wanted to make those people proud. And he's like, I hope I did make you guys proud. And the handshake wasn't for me. That was for you. Because what are you missing inside yourself that made you not shake my hand? Because that sounds like a Chris Jericho problem, not an Eddie Kingston problem. But no matter what anyone says in the back or on Twitter, you've proved everyone wrong because you're still number one. But is that enough to fill the hole in your chest? Jericho says he respects him, thanks him, be honored if he forgot all that and shook his hand. He accepts the handshake, but then 2.0 and Daniel Garcia come out, swarm Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho. Santana and Ortiz come out and even the odds. Ortiz gives Chris Jericho his baseball bat, and then Chris Jericho takes the bat and swings it at Santana and starts beating up on Proud and Powerful, and 2.0 and Garcia are beating up on Eddie Kingston. Jake Hager comes out looking like, what the hell are you doing? And then he attacks Ortiz. So Jericho, Garcia, Hager, and 2.0 go after Eddie Kingston and beat the crap out of him. And Jericho announces the Jericho Appreciation Society, and that's entertainment. Jericho has a brand new faction. The Inner Circle, as Jericho has created it at least, is dead. So we'll go to JR first, man. Thoughts on this whole segment and thoughts on the newly named Jericho Appreciation Society.
Real quickly, I just want to say I have come to the realization that I think Eddie Kingston may be my favorite wrestler because I said this 3 times in a row from his match at All Out with Miro, his match at Full Gear, and then his match at Revolution. I was like, that's my favorite Miro match. That's my favorite Jericho match. And I realized the common denominator was Eddie Kingston. I was like, I think I just really like Eddie Kingston's style of wrestling. I think he's my kind of wrestler, and I just really enjoy him. I think he's amazing. I thought he did a great job. Of course, all the time on the mic, he's one of the best mic talkers in wrestling today. As far as the segment, I think I said it before. I have no idea why Tony Khan gave Chris Jericho as an extension. He's a vile piece of shit. He's horrible. He's done nothing for Santana and Ortiz. He did nothing for Sammy Guevara for Inner Circle. Sammy Guevara was put over more by Miro and Cody Rhodes than Jericho ever did with the Inner Circle. He made Santana Ortiz mid as fuck. I'm so glad that they're out of the Inner Circle. This new group is a fucking human waste pile. I can't stand Jericho's ass. I can't stand Jake Hager's ass. 2.0, they're fine. They're going to drag Daniel Garcia down. I can't wait for Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz to get together, create a tag team, create a new faction that's going to destroy this human waste pile that's the Jericho Appreciation Society and be able to get Santana Ortiz closer to the tag team championships, back to where they were before they got into AEW because of Jericho's bitch ass. And I'm done.
Okay, that was uncomfortable.
Hey, you just shit on Jeff Hardy. Don't give me shit for me hating on Jericho.
Hey, let me tell you, Jericho is the reason AEW exists. He dragged Santana Ortiz into all sorts of main events, and he made them relevant even when they weren't in the title contention. Sammy Guevara's the TNT champion because it's Chris Jericho, and Jake Hager found his role that he's been waiting his whole career for. Oversized goon. Oklahoma's own Jake Hager. Just want to throw that out there. I love him. But
keep spreading your fake news, but we'll talk about that for another day.
Jericho Appreciation Society. For us, you don't even have to be an old wrestling fan. This is probably like the last 10, 12 years or whatever. There was this group that came from the original Nexus called The Core. And that's what this reminds me of. And The Core was not good. So I do like Jericho, and he basically replaced Santana Ortiz with two proud Canadian boys, and then he replaced Sammy graduated, and he replaced him with Daniel Garcia. So the Inner Circle, one of the original factions of AEW, is dead. I think that's huge news, and birthed the Jericho Appreciation Society. I think he can do I could definitely think he can do for Daniel Garcia what he did for Sammy. 2.0 is a little, I don't know if they're going to, I don't believe, this doesn't feel like a main event faction. This feels like a mid-card heel faction. That's what it feels like. But if he can give a little, Jericho's really gotten in shape. He's gotten abs, got back in shape. So I think this can lead to some good feuds. And if this leads to JAS versus Santana Ortiz and Kingston's group, maybe in a Blood and Guts or Stadium Stampede or whatever we want to do, I am looking forward to it.
And look, I'm happy that AEW has gotten behind Daniel Garcia in 2.0 to the point that they've paired them with Jericho, because I think that does great things for 2.0 and Garcia. But like you said, this is core feeling. This is a little bit core feeling in terms of like, man, so we killed the main group, and now we've completely made a separate group with one of the main members, and it's like, I'm not sure. And I know people have been doubting Jericho, but here's the deal. At least this means I get a heel Jericho, which I wanted more than anything. I think Jericho as a heel is outstanding, and people have been really getting on Jericho for his most recent stuff, like what he did with American Top Team, and just some of his most recent stuff, despite the fact that the Eddie Kingston match was really good. Like, people haven't been a big fan of Jericho besides the Judas song. So him being a heel, I think, helps Jericho significantly, because, I mean, he's just better. He's just better as a heel. I'm willing to let it play out and see how the Jericho Appreciation Society plays out. But I'm at least hoping that, like, this does good stuff for Eddie Kingston, because, like JR says, Eddie Kingston's outstanding, and I want nothing but the best for him. But yeah, we'll have to see what exactly comes out of this. But we move over to...
I did want to ask you one question before you move on, Austin. This is for you. Music Man, does he get rid of Judas?
That was my question.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope so, honestly. Because, I mean, like, that's so linked to his character that if he gets rid of Judas, I mean, it's perfect heel work. You get rid of the thing that people love about you, and then, like, they have nothing to love about you, and then everyone hates you for getting rid of Judas. So, and I think if he brings attention to it and he tears down that song, it's like, you guys don't deserve to, like, it's like, I've got so many other songs, and that's the only one you give a shit about. Like, that's something that I feel like as an artist he would be able to use as his heel character. So he's like, I'm gonna play like a different I would love it if he's like, I'm gonna play a different Fozzy song every single week I come out. I think that would be really funny, because, like, it would just add to that, like, just like, fuck you nature. But no, for real, I think that he won't be using Judas. At least I hope he doesn't.
The one thing I'll say, though, because in all seriousness, is that Floyd's right, is that this faction seems very mid, but the storyline and the potential, let's say, gimmick match that they could be building towards, let's say if it goes towards Double or Nothing, while it may be a mid-card feud, could be a significant match on that card. Like, I'll just throw this out there. You have Jericho, Hager, you have 5 guys, right? And you have Kingston, Ortiz, and Santana. They fight 2 more guys. 5-on-5. T-Mobile Arena is a big arena. I'm just saying, blood and guts.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely an idea. That's definitely an idea. But moving over, we had an AEW World Championship match. Hangman Page defending the title only a few days after he defended the title at Revolution, and he defended it against Top Flight's Dante Martin, getting a huge AEW World title match. He was the number 2 contender and got the match. I know one of my good friends was complaining, of course, about the ranking system. Like, why is the number 2 ranked person getting an AEW World title match? And I'm just like, God damn, dude. Like, do you not realize how cool of a match this is, even despite the rankings? Like, what's the fucking, come on. Like, you got a great match in front of you. Not everything has to be about the fucking rankings. But despite that, I thought this match was really good. Dante really worked his ass off. And I loved the little exchange after the match was over. There was just great work from Hangman, just really building up Dante, especially mentioning about the fact that his brother is back and being like, look, y'all are going to be going for the tag team titles again, I'm sure, and you're going to be outstanding. But you know what? Despite being that, like, if you want another singles shot, like, and you make it back here, I'd love to do it again. And that's when Adam Cole Bebe comes out and then starts running his mouth and challenges him to a 6-man tag match next week on Dynamite. And he's like, you can choose any 2 goons you want, but I'm going to choose 2 guys of my own that know you better than you, and they're my friends, not yours. And he's not going to stop until he becomes Adam Cole Bebe, new AEW World Champion. So, JR, we'll throw it to you first.
I can never stop talking about how much I love Dante Martin. I think I'll say this all the time. He, in my opinion, is the best young prospect that I've seen since Rey Mysterio, going back to the mid-90s. That is your future Ring of Honor World Champion, Dante Martin, right there. Just throwing it out there. We'll talk about that for a different day. But yeah, I love Dante Martin. I think they had a great match. You keep showcasing him in certain ways like this, is that this is the definition of a victory and a loss. So as far as moving forward, the continued storyline for Adam Cole and Adam Page, it's one of those things, is that the one thing when you look at AEW and coming from somebody who till this day watches another promotion that has monthly pay-per-views, you always wonder what they're building towards. But that's very hard in AEW because they only have quarterly pay-per-views. So you wonder, okay, what's the next? What is this going to lead to for as far as potentially a big Dynamite match, maybe Battle of the Belt? So I'm looking forward to this next chapter. I've always felt that AEW has done a great job, booking their heavyweight championship storylines better than anything else on the card. Not saying that they book other things bad, but that's sometimes like 99% of the time they hit their heavyweight championship storylines out of the park, in my opinion, since the creation of AEW. So I really look forward to where they're going with this Page versus Cole storyline moving forward.
All right, we'll give it to Floyd.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I'm sorry. I meant to just jump right on in. But, I like it. I mean, Hangman was just going to keep running through challengers for a while. So you needed a repeat challenger in there. And a perfect kind of shit-eating, terrible heel is Adam Cole. So you can get 2 or 3 more challenges towards Adam to Hangman Page out the way as you build to, because you have all the way to the end of May before Double or Nothing, and I imagine he's going to keep the title till then, just off the top of my head. So you're going to have to give him, he's going to need some time to fill that time in. So you throw Martin at him. Now you throw a Cole, like, oh, I'm going to keep coming at you until you give me another title shot. You build to another big match with them, and then you can start worrying about Double or Nothing. So I think this is perfect. And yeah, the teasing that it was going to be the Young Bucks was kind of cool, and I like the direction it went later in the episode, but we'll talk about that when we get there.
Yeah, all right. Well, we got into now the first tag team match with the American Dragon Bryan Danielson teaming with Jon Moxley with William Regal at ringside, facing off against the Workhorsemen, JD Drake and Anthony Henry. This match was pretty solid. There was one spot where Jon Moxley tried to do a suicide dive, and he kind of got tripped up on the middle rope and then didn't make contact too much. So it's a bit of a rough spot, but regardless, the match was still solid. But honestly, the biggest focus is the fact of Tony Schiavone getting in the ring to interview William Regal. And this segment with Regal was outstanding. He had a nice little moment of saying it was been 29 years since they were in a ring together. And he mentioned how he's 53 years old. He's lived a hard life. But he said, 29 years ago when I got here, you did something. You were someone that really helped me out. And it's the first time I actually got to thank you on camera, Tony. And he was getting a little choked up about it. And then eventually he talked about how, like, a couple months ago, I checked out completely of this industry. But then someone told him his friend Bryan Danielson mentioned him on Dynamite, and he had to go and watch. And he found out that his great friend Bryan Danielson was going to go fight Jon Moxley. And he talked about how Bryan Danielson and how they were known, mentioned in Ring of Honor. And he said, Bryan Danielson is the perfect wrestler. He's the wrestler that I should have been, that I wanted to be. And he's like, you became everything I never could be because you don't have the problems that I have. But then he met 11 years ago Jon Moxley, and psychological and physical problems that we put upon each other, it would make the devil cry. And then he was like, these two are going to knock the stuffing out of each other. So what better than have the two perfect wrestlers to teach the next generation? So a warning to everyone who steps in the ring with them, you will not like the outcome. You'll either step up or get stepped on. And this promo was outstanding. I mean, Regal's incredible. And like he went on Twitter actually to apologize because apparently his promo, because it got rambly a little bit, went over time and kind of affected the show a little bit. So he went on Twitter to apologize to everyone that he affected about going over on time. And I was like, dude, that segment was one of the best parts of the show. Like you could have talked for like 40 minutes and I wouldn't have given a fuck, because like Regal, he's a legend and he really knows how to work a mic, and he just has this presence. He has this presence with him. You are, everything he says, you take deadly serious. So, I mean, the fact that this faction, this soon-to-be probably faction of whoever joins Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson and Regal, makes me so excited. But just even this tag team, like, I'm so happy that we get this. They bled together, and now they're teaming together, and these guys are going to kick ass all over AEW. And if the tag team division wasn't already stacked, I mean, you've got Danielson and Moxley just deciding to team together, former AEW World Champion and one of the best wrestlers in the world. Yeah, that's definitely a team that's going to put some fear into people's hearts. So, JR, thoughts on the short little match that we got, and then, of course, Regal's promo afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, you have the consummate professionals that are Moxley and Bryan Danielson. You know, they could, Bryan Danielson could wrestle a broomstick, and it could be a 4-star match, So it spotlighted them and did what it needed to do. As far the promo that came afterwards, the insider term is heavy. When you go longer, you're going heavy. And so, but in this particular segment, I'm reminded of a match at WrestleMania 10, and it was Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels ladder match. That match went heavy at WrestleMania 10. That kind of messed with the show and ended up cutting a match. But when you say, okay, it went heavy, but show me where you are going to cut from this, like this promo. Show me where you're going to cut from this promo, just like that match. That something was wrong, that it wasn't necessary, it wasn't needed. It affected the quality of it, because even though it may have went heavy, it was an amazing promo. So everything he said, I think it hit you in your soul, it hit you in your heart. You saw him, had tears. You sympathize with him, you empathize with him, and then when he turned it on to talk about Moxley and Danielson, and then what the future is for him, you believed everything he said, and you held on to every word he said. And I thought it was tremendous. I think about William Regal's career and how he did not accomplish what he should have accomplished. We've seen everything he's done behind the scenes. You listen to his behind the scenes promo, and he's amazing. But it's like when you hear him, it's like, man, dude, that guy could have had a big run. And it's just, I hate that he didn't hit what he could have hit. But he's a tremendous talent. He's going to do, we talk about people being brought in. William Regal being brought into AEW, and you think about the young prospects like a Dante Martin, like Will Hobbs, and he is going to make that company so much better because of how the influence he's going to bring to that young talent. And he is probably, in my opinion, one of the top 5 most significant signings AEW has had to this point because of what he's going to do for them behind the scenes. As far as the future of Danielson and Danielson and Moxley, I don't, we say we have to wait to see what's going to come out of this, but my expectation is I see them in a tag team title match at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, I thought this was an amazing segment. I thought William Regal brought gravity and respect and to his character, and you wonder how these two kind of very strong personalities are going to get together. You need kind of a stronger personality to bring them together. That's William Regal in this particular case. I love how this is my favorite son. This is the apple of my eye. He's everything I should have been, and this one's just like me. Yeah, and he'll kick your ass. And he's got the devil inside of him. It was just a way of saying it. It was like his description of Bryan Danielson was like a minute long. His description of Moxley was like 10 seconds. And it was hilarious. I don't know if he realized he was losing time. That's why he didn't go off on on Mox the same way, but it actually fit. Because Mox is much of a no-nonsense. He doesn't want to hear all the glowing things. The fact that the biggest compliment that he could give Mox is that Mox tortured him. The fact that it went over, you know what? Shit happens in wrestling. I mean, shit, we went to All In, one of the best shows I've ever been to in my life. Okada and Marty went over. Life happens, and you adjust. And somebody had to lose a few minutes. All well. It's wrestling. You'll get over it.
Yeah, again, it didn't take away from the moment, and it was still a genuine. My mic is screwing up for some reason, but it was genuinely a really great moment just seeing Regal cut such a great promo. And yeah, again, there are some great moments that go over on time. It doesn't mean that it actively ruins it, and I do think that it's a class act by Regal to even apologize for it, because I don't think a lot of people even noticed that he went over on time. So regardless of the fact. Love this segment. Thought it was great. And then we had the Penta Oscura team outside with Pac facing off against Wheeler Yuta. This was the match that kind of was suffered a little bit with it being the promo going over on time. And that's fine. Again, this is just a quick solo match between Pac and Wheeler Yuta. It didn't really have much story going into it. These two guys are good wrestlers, Pac especially, and I know Yuta continues to get better every day. Pac was able to get the Brutalizer and win the match over Yuta. So yeah, again, this, you would say this was the match that was affected the most with stuff going over on time with the segment prior. But again, there wasn't really a ton of story going into this match to begin with, so it's not a huge issue, I think, honestly. So. Regardless, at least they got on TV is all I can say. Is there anything else you guys want to add to this?
I'm good.
JR. Did we lose JR?
I think he's good.
I'm good. I apologize.
Oh, yeah, you're good. All right. We then had Adam Cole backstage with Red Dragon and the Young Bucks, and Adam Cole clarified who he was talking about when talking to Hangman Adam Page. He said the perfect guys that live in his head rent-free. And Matt was like, listen, if it's against Hangman, we're done. Count us out. We don't want it. It's like, I wasn't picking you. I'm picking Red Dragon. And, of course, they're butting heads with it. These two teams are not friends. And Adam Cole trying to make sure everyone gets along with his two factions that he's parts of. Not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And then also, we'll move over to this. I need to talk to Floyd about this, but this was a segment with FTR. Dax was talking about having personal issues, basically, of what he wanted to do in AEW. And Tully was like, look, we're supposed to be going after titles. I don't care about this personal issues that you have, Dax. And Cash, like, immediately went and grabbed him by the grabbed Tully, and then eventually they fired Tully Blanchard. FTR fired their manager, Tully Blanchard, the legendary Tully Blanchard. And Dax goes on Twitter and is like, "Hey Brett, you available?" So I'll go to JR first at least, because I'll save Floyd for last on this. Thoughts on FTR firing Tully Blanchard as their manager?
Tully, the debate, and Floyd and I have had talked about this before, going back to when Tully was with FTR. I felt, because Tully's, I don't want to say this like in a negative way, Tully Blanchard's status in professional wrestling, because he wasn't a part of a company, he doesn't have that same legendary status. I think from the fans' perspective as Double A, because of Double A's been that he's constantly been in professional wrestling, never left. Tully retired.
Yeah.
Behind this away, I think he was a minister. And so when he comes back, I don't think people see him in the same light as Arn Anderson. So because of that, and he's an amazing heel, he could get those heel promos and get that heel I can't think of the word, that heel interaction from the fans. So I thought he was a better manager for FTR than a potential Arn Anderson. Now, fast track moving forward to where we're at right now, I felt that this was not a good way to end this, because it's just to be honest, it felt like a shitty behind the scenes promo. And I want to see now that basically, as the Pinnacle is going its separate ways, I think, after what happened with MJF and Wardlow at Revolution, what is FTR's future? Because it's almost kind of like they sound a little bit babyface, and FTR is not a babyface tag team. So I wonder what is going to come of this, because I'm just shell-shocked at this point.
I want to be clear. I love FTR and everything they do. This was the most confusing backstage segment ever to me. I don't really know why they fired him. I don't. Because he said they should be going after titles? Something that they literally say on Twitter every day? Huh? I didn't get it. I've watched it back 2 or 3 times. And I'm like, if there's a message there, it skipped over my head. I'm like, getting rid of Tully's great. I even said when I saw them at FanFest that I'm longing for the moment that we get the Young Bucks versus FTR and Bret Hart brings them out to the ring and they're all wearing Bret Hart gear. That, like the pink and black gear. That would be awesome. But yeah, I was very confused with this segment. I want to see where it goes, but it looked like it was supposed to be something. And I think if maybe I don't know if it was shot live or whatever. Or if it was pre-recorded, but it just looked like if it was pre-recorded, they should have done it again, because I didn't understand it. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it came off clear to everybody else. Yeah.
I'm interested in where it goes, but the moment itself seemed kind of rushed. It seemed like they could have done a lot more to really solidify this as a huge moment. Like the fact that he said you're fired and then we cut immediately back to in the arena. I was like, well, hang on. Like that's a significantly bigger moment than you're giving it credit for. Cause literally that's the guy that Tully has supported since FTR's been here. So I was definitely kind of thrown off a little bit, by how they did the announcement, but I couldn't hold on to that for too long. Cause then we had the emergency meeting of the AHFO, which was the whole factor of Big Money Matt Hardy talking about how, I should, y'all are trying to kick me out of the AHFO, and we're gonna do a vote to make sure I stay in. Private Party supported them until they turned their thumbs down with Matt not noticing, and then they all jumped on Matt Hardy. Darby Allin and Sting came out to try to even the odds, but they still weren't great. And then that's when Jeff Hardy came out and then they hit the swanton. He hits the swanton bomb on the Blade, and Darby Allin is like completely just mouth agape. Darby is stunned seeing Jeff Hardy in AEW because, I mean, look, kindred spirits, those two. But that was the overall segment. I'm glad, the moment that they showed like AHFO was getting a legitimate segment for Dynamite, I was like, oh yeah, Jeff's showing up. Because, I mean, like, for the most part, no one cares about the AHFO. And the fact that they were able to get Matt Hardy out of that, and now it's just Andrade who's running this whole thing. I'm more comfortable with having Andrade having a group that is, like, he's paying to work for him. I'm more comfortable with that. And honestly, Andrade is just in a position where I think he'll shine more as, like, this kind of kingpin character. But, yeah, this segment was still crazy. It was crazy when Jeff showed up. But I'm glad at least that we got the whole Matt Hardy out of this AHFO stuff, because again, like he literally said, every time it seems like I put on a suit, I become an asshole. And I'm like, yeah, and I don't like that asshole.
Yeah, this continues with his character changing depending on what clothes he's wearing, and that was a gimmick started on BTE. So I completely think this was like the coolest thing ever. And yeah, Andrade needs this. Andrade needs that group.
Yeah, for sure. JR, you got anything to add to this segment, or shall we move on?
I hope nothing but good things for Andrade because I love him. But man, I don't know if this is it for him. And he's sorely missing a Selena Vega type manager. I'm just going to stop because if not, I'm going to keep stammering and stuttering for 30 minutes talking about how much it hurts Andrade. Hurts me to see Andrade book a certain way. The one thing I will say is that if we do not get a Jeff Hardy versus Darby Allin train wreck of a ladder match before Jeff Hardy's AEW, Tony Khan will officially be the worst booker in professional wrestling history because that is the most easiest slam dunk layup I have ever seen. You can put that on a main event pay-per-view, and people are going to come out in droves because they're going to want to see the carnage that those two bring out.
Yeah, no question about it. No question about it. But we then had Swerve Strickland getting an interview, and he was interrupted by Tony Nese, and his first AEW, his debut match was going to be on Rampage, and it was going to be against Tony Nese. So that was going to be exciting, and we'll talk about that when we get into Rampage. We then had an in-ring promo with Mr. Mayhem, the face of the Revolution, Wardlow, and this was his babyface coming out moment where he talked about he spent too much of his life helping someone else help with their own dreams, but little did he know that when he used to do that when he was younger, he was walking out of one cage and walking into another one because he found himself helping Max fulfill his. And he said, listen, y'all have to forgive me for associating with such trash, but I grew up very poor. And at a young age, I knew I wanted to be a wrestler because I fell in love with it, but I also knew it would be an opportunity to provide for his mother and his future family with a better life. And Max paid him well, but it didn't give him the right to threaten his family or to put his hands on him. And he's like, I'm still under contract, but I don't give a damn anymore. So at Revolution, it was my way of showing I'm no longer watching his back. I'm no longer a member of the Pinnacle. I'm finally free. And he's like, I hope you're intelligent as you claim to be, as intelligent as you are. You'll release me from this BS contract, and in return, I'll wash my hands of you. I would love nothing more to powerbomb Max into oblivion, but I refuse to waste another 3 years of my life on him. I'm not stopping at the TNT title. After years of giving, it's time I take, and I'm going to be letting everyone know that this is AEW is now Wardlow's ward. Wardlow's world. And yeah, that was a great promo for now babyface Wardlow. I love the fact that the crowd is really behind him, and that was a great babyface promo, honestly. And I like the fact that he's like, if you release me from this contract, I won't go after you, and that ain't gonna happen. Like, listen, because we know that he's getting his TNT title shot next week at St. Patrick's Day Slam. And I see a Max showing up and fucking that whole shit up immediately. But we'll go to JR first. Thoughts on Wardlow's promo?
I mean, I'm just going to be honest. Tony Khan just bought Ring of Honor. He can't buy Wardlow's contract from MJF. Just saying. Just saying.
You can't buy what someone's not willing to sell.
Hey, fire that man then. You fire MJF. The one thing I'm I don't like this for Wardlow because I think what makes Wardlow awesome is the fact that he's a monster, and I feel like they're humanizing the monster. It's something that was done. I go back to 1994. What got the Big Daddy Cool Diesel over was he was a monster, and then a month later after winning the title, he's wearing a Santa Claus hat and singing Jingle Bells at Titan Towers. And for me, in my opinion, let me preface that by saying this is just one person's opinion. I'd rather him just kick ass and take names and keep that type of swagger instead of cutting babyface promos. I like my monsters to stay monsters and not be humanized.
Yes, think about Wardlow. I don't think personally he was ever a monster. The reason I say that, and it sounds weird when I say it like that, but he was always presented as intelligent when he spoke, as smart, as someone that can move the group, and as a part of the group. Even when they turned on the Inner Circle, he was always there, and he was always like a step ahead. So yeah, I mean, like I said, in my eyes, he was just never really presented as just a monster. He was always presented as more. And in this case, that's what he is. He's evolving. He's starting to look out for himself. He's going to chase the world title. It actually reminds me a lot of when Batista left Evolution. And it's just like he's on his own, the thumbs up, thumbs down thing. And I feel like, Batista realized after what happened to Randy Orton that was eventually going to happen to him by Triple H, so he stuck it solid in front. Wardlow, after he got hit by MJF, that knocked some sense into him in essence, and he realized, he was never going to see him as an equal. He never was going to see him as a friend. He was always going to keep him underneath. So I am really looking forward to MJF and what I assume is an eventual Wardlow and what I assume is eventual feud with MJF. But yeah. So I don't know.
And I saw like in terms of a monster that was just a monster, like just brutal monster. I see that more as like a powerhouse Hobbs. Like, you know what I mean? Like Wardlow, like he was a monster, but they never really like made him seem like he was just this guy that was just like, I mean, like he'll powerbomb you into the floor like repeatedly, but like they had given an idea of that, like he was intelligent and he knew what he was doing, and he was very much like there was more to him than just being a monster. So I don't think like them humanizing him is necessarily an issue. I get what you're saying. It would be better if they just like, I think you would like it better if you just didn't say anything and then would just start kicking the shit out of each other. I think that's, if I'm being honest, I think that's like Roman Reigns' backlash, like where we remember when Roman was this quiet, simmering beast of a man when he was in the Shield, and then he comes out and he's cutting babyface promos that we thought was just dog shit. But I don't think that's going to be the case with Wardlow, just because I think they've already established that his character is more than just a quiet, badass monster.
And he cut a hell of a promo.
And he cut a good promo too. Yeah, it was good.
He showed he could talk.
So yeah, I'm not too concerned about it. But JR, I understand why you might be. But we then had Keith Lee backstage with QT Marshall, and Keith was told by QT, like, listen, we have a common enemy in Team Taz. Like, the factory has your back. And Keith just goes like, I have a very large back. I am fine. And QT's like, you'll pay for this. Fuck you. Like, that's like, you want to talk about Team Taz being your enemy. That's Team Taz behavior, of Taz being like, you should join us. Nah, I'm okay. Well, fuck you. Like, that's very, very similar. Like, I think talking about kindred spirits, that's QT and Taz. I mean, that's literally like the exact same response that you would get if for something like that. But I don't know if anyone wants to talk about that. I think it's
I don't
perfect.
think there's nothing to add to that.
Nothing to add when we talk about QT, really. I think that's fair. But we then had the AEW World Tag Team Championship match between the champions Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus facing off against the Acclaimed. And the Acclaimed really, they had a couple moments where they seemed like they were all right in this match, but eventually Luchasaurus just had a standing moonsault that splashed onto Caster. They tried to get the boombox involved, and they had some close calls, but eventually the match itself would end with Bowens. Bowens tried to distract Aubrey. Caster went to hit him with a steel chain, but Christian pulled him out of the ring. Eventually, the Acclaimed was able to win with after getting hit with the Acclaimed were pinned. The Acclaimed were pinned by Jurassic Express when they hit the Doomsday device, and Bowens took the pin, and they once again retained their tag team titles after they did as well at Revolution. Solid match. You got a nice "This is awesome" chant from the crowd, so it kept the crowd involved. I think Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy are an outstanding tag team champions. I thought this was a good match. I thought this was good. JR, we'll go to you on this tag team title match.
The crowd loves Jurassic Express. I mean, the Acclaimed is a perfect heel team to make a babyface tag team go over because of Caster's promos and just that little bit of rub that that Bowens gives at the end when he says the Acclaim has arrived. So it was one of those matches that you want to have to send the crowd home happy. But I hate the big dumb dino, so I can't wait for a team to beat him because Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy beat Lucha Bros, and I'll never forgive him for it.
Oof. I played.
Yeah, this is a solid tag team match, solid defense to get to the next one. I thought it was a little quick. I don't know what they got planned, but I feel like this, like with how they booked the card, this match could have had a big tag team match next week. You know what I mean? I know they're going to be in the 6-man or whatever, but I just felt like they just gave too much in the show after the pay-per-view and that's weird to say that, but it was just like, there were so many title matches, it was just like, I was like, I feel like it got lost in the shuffle. Actually, when you brought it up, I almost forgot this match happened. Like, seriously. Yeah. Seriously, it was just like, oh yeah, that match did happen. It was a really good match. Okay, but I didn't remember it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that's what you get when you get, like, a title defense match, like, a few days after the pay-per-view. It's like, you know, it's nice to see them defend the titles again, but, like, again, there wasn't much to latch onto besides the fact that Jurassic Express is an outstanding tag team champions, and the Acclaimed are great heel tag teams. So, like, there wasn't much to latch onto, but the match itself was really good.
Yeah.
We then had the AEW Women's World Eliminator match between Layla Hirsch, the number 1 ranked, and Thunder Rosa, the number 2 ranked woman. And this match was okay. I thought this match had some moments where it was close in terms of either Layla not being able to fully rotate into a move or Thunder not being able to get her up fully. They still made it look all right. And Thunder Rosa got the pretty easy win over Layla Hirsch and said that she would be facing, after Tony Schiavone announced about her another match against Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, for the AEW Women's title. They would be defending the match, of course, in Thunder Rosa's hometown, and they would be defending it in a steel cage match. So we get to see Thunder Rosa and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, in a steel cage. I'm fucking ecstatic. I know, like, again, this is where Thunder wins the belt because, I mean, like, they don't have as many women to challenge Dr. Britt Baker for the belt when it comes to their baby faces. Heel-wise, they'll probably be able to have a little bit more people go after it. And it's just like, again, like, Thunder Rosa has been outstanding, and I think she deserves the AEW Women's Championship. And to do it in her hometown and win it in a steel cage, I think would be huge. So I mean, I'm for it. Yeah. Again, it's a bit of a bummer that, like, they don't have enough people to really help to really challenge Dr. Britt Baker. They've kind of got like the Roman Reigns issue where it's like, yeah, she's great and she's outstanding and one of the best things in the company, but, like, we don't have enough people to challenge her just because we don't have enough challengers that we've established. So, but regardless, I think Thunder Rosa going after her in a steel cage will be a blast. And I think this would be the moment where Rosa wins the belt. And I think it will be huge. And I love Thunder Rosa. And I think it would be absolutely, totally deserved. But JR, we'll go to you first.
Probably a month before Revolution, I had a conversation off air with Floyd, and I said, Floyd asked me, what do you think is going to happen with the Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa match at Revolution? And I said, well, I think what's essentially going to happen is that there's going to be outside interference, and it's going to lead into a third match where Thunder versus Britt in a cage. And unfortunately, I believe it was Wednesday morning or maybe Tuesday night, Thunder, I think, accidentally tweeted that she was going to face Layla, and the winner was going to face Britt in a cage match. So I think it kind of like, and then after the match, it was said, oh, Thunder's going to face Britt in a cage match. So I think it kind of was spoiled a little bit. As far as this, I think after Revolution, Layla had a big win over Statlander. I think it would have been better to have Layla get another victory over somebody else to help establish her as a potential challenger, as a heel challenger for, if we're going to go with Thunder as a babyface champion, for that, because it was already felt so predictable that Thunder was going to get the match against Britt. It would have made more sense to say, hey, let's establish Layla as a challenger, as potentially the first challenger for Thunder Rosa, and we'll do a segment where between Thunder and Britt, and Thunder says it's BS, that would happen, and Tony Khan makes Britt versus Thunder in San Antonio in a cage match to prevent outside interference. That's, in my opinion, as your Monday morning quarterback.
Well, I'm very excited about this match. Yeah, we did know it was coming, but, sometimes predictability is good. I am really going to show self-discipline today because the San Antonio show is only 7 hours away from me, and every fiber of my being wants to be there for Thunder Rosa to win the title. But Floyd will be watching the show from home. Y'all can only, JR, Austin, you both actually understand how hard this is going to be for me to miss this match.
Yeah, and I bet it's going to hurt for sure. We then go to our main event match, the TNT Championship, title versus streak, Sammy Guevara versus the Men of the Year, Scorpio Sky, for the TNT title. Since Scorpio Sky has not been beaten in a full calendar year, and we had Paige Van Zant, who was also ringside for this match. These two guys, I love Scorpio, and I love the fact that he was getting this shot. They really did a ton of work together and fought. And eventually, early on in the match, in fact, Sammy decided to pull a table out, set up Scorpio outside, tried to go and hit the 630 senton. Scorpio moves, Sammy goes straight through the table, and that table barely had any give because he just fucking crashed through that shit, and it looked like it fucking sucked. And then Ty Conti, Sammy's girlfriend, comes down and checks up on Sammy. And they try helping him out during the commercial break, but eventually he pushes his way, gets back into the ring. Sammy gets in the ring and spits in the face of Scorpio Sky, and Scorpio's beating the hell out of him. Eventually, Paige Van Zant, Scorpio then brings Sammy over towards Ty and was like, "Here, give your boyfriend a kiss now. Give him a kiss. Here, I'll give him a kiss." And then Paige Van Zant immediately turns around, and gets in her face. So there's a feud right there. Eventually, though, Sammy, despite trying to work his way back into the match, Ethan Page would jump out onto the ring apron. Ty Conti pulled him down. Paige Van Zant then speared Ty outside the ring. And then Scorpio hit the TKO. And Scorpio Sky is your new TNT champion, the first AEW wrestler to hold both the AEW World Tag Team title and the TNT Championship in their AEW career. And after the match was over, he put that TNT title and rammed it into Sammy's head. Paige Van Zant then proceeded to kick Ty Conti in the head, knocking her out. And she pulled out her AEW contract, put it on Ty's back, and signed the contract onto Ty's back. Hell of a move there. And now we know that Paige Van Zant is All Elite. I'm nothing but happy for Scorpio. I think this is huge for him. And considering that, Sammy had already had a pretty distinct title run where he had the constant Forbidden Door champions challenge him. Honestly, I think this works out. This was the best outcome, and I think Scorpio will be an outstanding heel TNT champion. And he'll be going one-on-one with Wardlow next week at St. Patrick's Day Slam. So I will throw it to JR as we talk about this main event. So thoughts on the TNT title match and Scorpio Sky, now your new TNT champion.
I thought they had a really good match. I actually liked all of the interference because I think it's going to build for a bigger storyline. Because, I'm just going to say it. The eventual feud I think was going to happen was going to be a Cody and Brandy Rhodes versus Paige Van Zant and somebody of Dan Lambert's camp. I don't know for sure if it was going to be Scorpio Sky or if it was going to be Ethan Page or maybe somebody else, but that was what the feud was going to be. And it was Tay even kind of alluded to, she kind of tweeted at Brandy and Cody like, hey, can y'all come back because you guys left these people for us and these people are trash. I can't remember her exact tweet. Paige Van Zant has natural charisma. I don't know. And she does have athletic ability. I don't know what her ring work is going to be. But the good thing about AEW is there are people there that will definitely help her get to a level to where she would, if she wants to have a great wrestling, experience in AEW, whether it's Bryan Danielson, whether it's William Regal, or anybody else on their Thunder Rosa, Serena Deeb. So I think that's great. Scorpio Sky, just from what I've heard and read, this is a long time coming. This isn't something that was done overnight. Like, oh my God, we got to put the belt on Scorpio. Like, from what I read, this was planned almost a year in advance, if I'm not mistaken. So for him to become TNT champion, and he looks amazing. He looks like he belongs there. The only thing I wonder is what, on a different note, what does the future hold for All Ego Ethan Page? Because he kind of reminds me of, not in the same way, but like, you remember when Edge was kind of getting his rise up from that tag team to become, a top mid card when he became Intercontinental Champion, King of the Ring. And then there's Christian on the side because now the tag teams kind of they're together but separate now because of the singles run. I just kind of wonder where Ethan Page fits in all this, because he's another tremendous talent that, he deserves some sort of, plan ahead. So that's my only thing. I'm not saying anything bad or negative what could happen for Ethan Page. I just wonder what will happen with him as now Scorpio takes this, goes down this route as a top single star.
I just see, I've always seen Ethan as Scorpio's kind of partner, sidekick, heavy, all that stuff, because he's the big dude. But hey, I want to say congratulations to Scorpio Sky, and I want to take a bit of a victory lap. I think it was like almost like a year or two, we had these people online coming at AEW for lack of black singles talent. Nobody's in a significant position, blah, blah, blah. And it just felt like, and Austin was here when I said it, I was like, there was no one signed, and they're building Scorpio Sky. I remember saying that, didn't I? Say there was no one to sign, and they're building Scorpio Sky. I threw out names like Keith Lee and Swerve. I said when they become available, AEW would sign them. And then they did. And then I said they were building up Scorpio Sky. And what just happened?
And then they brought in Jay Lethal.
Can I see into the future? Is that what I did? Am I Negro Damas up in here?
Maybe.
Or it wasn't fucking obvious that what they were doing and what was available. And I was just saying, hey, the information's right there. You're reaching. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what I was not special. I didn't read tea leaves. I just looked at what was in front of me and actually saw it for what it was. Scorpio Sky went a year without losing. Was that on accident? You think they just were booking them on Dark and just, I didn't know that you went a year without losing. No, every major loss in that little group, Ethan Page took. every time it was time to lose, it was Ethan Page. When they were going to lose, they lost as a group. Scorpio was protected for a year building to this match. That's called long-term storytelling. So yes, even when y'all were bitching, Scorpio was planned to be the TNT champ. Now he is the first man in the company to be a part of a tag team and then be the TNT champion. He is only the third person in the company to hold belts. Scorpio has He's lost 3 singles matches in his whole time in AEW? Oh, yeah, that was an accident. They didn't notice that they were doing it. They still hate black people. God, y'all are... Yes, I know. I had the victory lap because I have many DM conversations because I know you can't win an argument on Twitter. So
Never.
I don't put these thoughts on Twitter because you can't win an argument on Twitter. But if you want to come to the podcast and listen, I'll tell you. It was going to happen. You just had to give it time. And we're there. We're there. I don't know how long Scorpio's going to keep the title, whether it's going to be a week, whether it's going to be a year or somewhere in between. But significant talent is being featured. On Rampage last night, you had 4 matches. 2 are considered, big signings. Keith Lee and Swerve got his main event big signing match. Look at it. Tea leaves, brother.
Yeah. Now I do know, because I know JR mentioned it a little bit. The way that fans have, I won't last on it for too long, but I know I just had this thought that go through my mind too. Since Sammy's no longer TNT champion, I mean, let me say this, because I know that it's looking like Ty Conti's going to be feuding with Paige Van Zandt, but like with the way that the crowd is reacting. Or at least people reacting on Twitter more so. People reacting on Twitter. Like, a heel Sammy and Ty would do fucking gangbusters. Am I wrong? Because, I mean, like, for the love of God, like, people despise these two now. They hate this couple. And I have no problem with it. I don't care about wrestlers' personal lives. You do what you want. And... honestly, it's very simple why people are mad. We are all wrestling fans, and I am one to be able to say, and I am proud of saying it, like, it's hot people dating hot people, and we are wrestling fans. Do the math. But if they were
speak for yourself, I'm fucking hot.
Look, yeah, I'm not gonna tear people down. If you're feeling yourself as a wrestling fan, feel yourself. No. But I look at myself and I am a realist. I
feel like wrestling fans feel themselves more than the average person. Yeah.
You know what? Fair. But am I wrong in saying that if they decided to have Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti be like a heel, because I mean they've had a similar sort of thing with like Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford, where it's like 2 hot people dating each other and they're dicks and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. There's something about if Sammy did it.
Sammy is a natural heel.
That's what I'm saying.
A natural heel. Ty on Twitter, natural heel. I don't know.
I'll say it. Let me break it down. I'll say it. This is the issue. This is why people don't like him. It's because wrestling. I mean, I'll go back. Some people in general, when you are in fandom, they feel like some reason they are personally connected to celebrities.
Right.
I know this person. I have a right to know what's going on in their lives. And it goes back, and this is what it is. Sammy proposed to his then fiance on national television. Sammy has a vlog. Some of Sammy's personal life was on his vlog. Then what happened sometime in October, November, whatever, they stopped seeing certain things. Then he announced he broke up with his wife. At the same time, he was spending a lot of time with Tay. So now they say, well, that's fucked up, Sammy. You cheated on your wife and with Tay, or cheated on your fiance with Tay Conti. At the end of the day, while they do publicly put on there, and that's their business, you can judge them whatever you want. But at the end of the day, quit acting like these people are fucking perfect. They're celebrities, but before celebrities, they're human beings. I'll just say this. I know people who who do shady shit. And I said, you know what? That's their business. I don't give a fuck because it has nothing to do with me. And I apologize for cursing, but when I get on these tangents, I can't watch my language. And that's what it is. I don't give a fuck about Sammy and Tay's personal life. They put it out there. I really don't watch their vlog as much as probably some of these other people do. But quit putting them on a pedestal and just see them as a talent. What they do behind the scenes is their business. You don't know them. You pay 25, 30, 40, 50 bucks or how much it costs to get an autograph and get a photo, move on with your life. If you don't like it, you don't have to comment on it. Mute them, block them, whatever it is. But because of that is why people don't like him. I don't see the level of hate, like you said, for Kip or Penelope, for hot people dating hot people, like I do for Sammy and Tay. And I think it's because they want to judge them. And I always say this: don't judge people.
Kip doesn't win.
Don't judge people when you're sitting in a glass house, because I can tell you, well, I've never done anything like as far as allegations of adultery, but other shit I've done that I'm not proud of either. So I'm not gonna sit here and cast stones when I live in my own glass house. And so, but to get back to your original point, I do think they have a natural heel ability, because I think Tay could be a great heel, and I think Sammy has that shit-eating grin that would make him a great heel again if he wants to become a heel. And moving forward, once they get out of the, let's say, this American Top Team feud that they are probably going to get into, something could snap and they'll get into like their heel thing, where I'm trying to think. I'll give you an example, like Trish Stratus and Christian back in after WrestleMania 20. They would do great in that, having that type of relationship.
Well, first I want to say, I want to make it clear. I hate new relationships in general. Just in general. I love relationships. I love love. But when two people, attractive, not attractive, whatever, first get together and they're always posting, and then they do the pictures of them kissing, and then they do the hearts and all that stuff, yeah, I'm usually going to check out of their social media for a few months until they get into 6 to 8 months in the relationship.
Remind me not to post if I get a girlfriend and not show Floyd.
No, and it's fine. I'm not going to get mad. See, that's the whole thing. I don't post online about it. I know what the mute option is for. You know what I mean? Or I know how to unfollow someone if I want. I don't feel the need to comment on anything they do because that's their business. And I understand what they're doing. They're like, you're going to come after me anyway. Might as well just post everything I want to post anyway. And they're young. They're in love. It's great. Love is beautiful, like I said. But it's a little annoying at first. I was like that with my wife. Don't get me wrong. It's annoying at first. And then people get into their relationship and you get the more, hey, we're at the movies, blah, 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 anniversary. And you get those, the regular posts that you're supposed to get. So enjoy. I am happy for them. Keep loving on each other. Good Lord. I'm telling you, if I look like them and had abs like them and worked out and probably eat as little food that tastes good as they do, I would take pictures of myself all the time, because that is the results of my hard work. And I don't blame anyone that posts pictures of themselves that in that way, because you know what? They worked for that. But on to this, Sammy and Ty are going to move. If they don't go heel soon, they're going to move right into where Cody and Brandy were. Why don't you just turn them heel? Why don't you just turn them heel? Why don't you just turn them heel? So yeah, maybe Sammy and Ty end up joining America's Top Team. Maybe. I don't know. I just want to see where it goes. And they have decided to acknowledge the relationship on the show, which is cool. And like I said, I don't understand acknowledging the relationship on the show. Then let's say they break up, and then you'll ask for privacy.
Right.
What? Hands are up. I don't understand it. It's either you want privacy or you don't want privacy.
Okay. Well, I think it's fair to cut that off right there. I think that's plenty of talk about that whole thing. We'll move over then quickly to AEW Rampage from Friday night, We opened up with Darby Allin going one-on-one with Private Party's Mark Quinn, continuing over from what happened with AHFO on Dynamite. This was a pretty damn good singles match. Mark Quinn deciding to go and pull something almost out of Darby Allin's playbook and hit a 450 splash on the outside onto Darby. Fuck, that looked like it hurt. It looked like it hurt so bad. Eventually, though, he tried for a shooting star press, but then Darby was able to get out of the way. He got a Fujiwara armbar, and that made Mark Quinn tap out. They got the win. The AFO, now named, the AFO then decides to come out and attack Darby Allin and Sting. But Matt and Jeff Hardy comes out to even up the odds, and the AFO immediately backs out and runs away. And Darby is still like mouth agape, like, "Oh my God, that's Jeff Hardy! Holy shit!" I love Darby, but to me that's just funny, just the way that he's just like, "I can't believe it! It's Jeff Hardy! Holy fucking shit!" It's really funny. I love Darby, but I can't deny that it's not funny. JR, we'll go to you. Thoughts on the opening match from this episode of Rampage?
Yeah, it's one of those things that needed to be done in order to further a storyline. I feel like I always say this after we get through a pay-per-view because of so much time before the next pay-per-view. It's just like, I wonder where this is going to go. Are we going to get, potentially a big 8-man match? Are we going to get a gimmick match? Who's going to be the focus of the rivalry? So that's it.
All right, go ahead, Floyd.
Yeah, yeah, Darby. I've decided, and we had to make this announcement on the show, that going forward, Darby Allin is my favorite wrestler. Until the moment or day Cody returns, Darby Allin is my favorite singles wrestler.
He is the placeholder.
Not the placeholder, because I don't think Cody's coming back. I don't think Cody's coming back. I've been calling Monday, March 14th for about 3 weeks. So that's what I've said. That's the day Cody's going to walk into WWE. I've been calling it for 3 weeks. Maybe I'm wrong. But yes, going forward, I realized I've never not enjoyed a Darby Allin match. I get his character. He works really hard, so he's my guy now. And this Mark Quinn match with the arm breaker. And not only does he do the arm breaker, he's twisting the fingers at the same time. He's just, every detail that Darby adds to wrestling improves what he does. He never does anything where you think, oh, that was unnecessary. It adds to what he does. And he goes so hard. He went as hard in this Mark Quinn match as he does in a main event match on a Dynamite or a match on a pay-per-view. There is no throttled down. He goes level 10 all the time. I can do nothing. Not just respect it, love it. And I was forced to really see what I like in wrestlers after Cody abandoned me. And now it's Darby's time in my eyes.
There we go. We'll move over now to Jamie Hayter going one-on-one with Mercedes Martinez. This was tied into the feud with Thunder Rosa and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. As the match was going on, Martinez had a pretty strong ability of keeping Jamie Hayter down, but then eventually, as things went on, though, Britt Baker proceeded to blindside Mercedes Martinez while Rebel distracted the referee, and that's when Jamie Hayter was able to get the pin after hitting a lariat. They tried to add insult to injury onto Mercedes, but Thunder Rosa comes out with a steel chair, chases her out, and that leads into what we'll see on a St. Patrick's Day Slam. So this match was there as a way to continue the build and excitement towards the steel cage match. And I will say I'm glad Mercedes didn't lose. She didn't lose clean. I would like to see if they could try to because this is the second time she's been in AEW, and I'm wondering, are we going to actually try to put a little bit behind her and, get her moving up a bit in terms of, notoriety in AEW, or is she just going to kind of be tied to Thunder Rosa? I'm just curious. I don't know exactly what will happen with that. I think Hayter getting a win, though, does help her out, even if it was a dusty finish. But regardless, I think it was this was fine. I don't really got much else to add to that. JR, you got anything?
I think you're going to. I think Jamie Hayter could potentially be the first challenger for if Thunder wins. For Thunder's title, and I think slowly we're going to get to the point where you're going to get what we got with Wardlow and MJF. You're going to get the same thing with Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker.
Yeah, I think that's the case. Floyd, go ahead.
I think this match left a little to be desired. I've seen both of them be better, and I just thought it was just like, I know it was a TV match. They probably weren't supposed to probably do a lot, but I just, was expecting more. But yeah, it was exactly what it needed to be, because now it gives a reason for Mercedes to help Thunder on Sunday when they eventually try to interfere.
Yeah. We then got to see the limitless Keith Lee kick the shit out of QT Marshall. QT would try to do things like gouge out Keith Lee's eyes, but it wouldn't work. Keith Lee proceeds to just throw him and just knocks him out of his boots with a great clothesline. The Factory tried to get involved with Nick Camarado trying to get involved. QT would use that to try to get a little bit of offense, but then eventually Keith Lee would just get a huge shoulder tackle and then just slam him down and get the win. Aaron Solo then got in the ring, tried to jump on Keith Lee's back. That didn't work. Nick Camarado came and got a back elbow from Keith Lee, and then just got a pop-up powerbomb on him. Aaron Solo got thrown over the top rope. Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs tried to ambush Keith Lee. Hobbs got hit with a spine buster. Nobody could stop Keith Lee. They are making Keith Lee look unstoppable already early on, and I love it because I think he'll be huge in AEW. I think this match did what it needed. It gave more spotlight to Keith Lee, and it him just going through all four of those guys. He beats QT, but then he knocks over Aaron Solo, Nick Camarado, Ricky Starks, and Powerhouse Hobbs. Nobody was able to get past this man.
Didn't it end with Hobbs spine bustering Lee? That's how it ended.
Oh no, Hobbs no, sorry, yeah, that's right. I said that completely wrong. But Team Taz was still doing stuff. Yeah, Powerhouse Hobbs powerbomb Keith Lee. That's my bad. I completely that was a mental break on my bad. So after he was able to knock out the Factory, Powerhouse Hobbs came out and then powerbombed Keith Lee.
Yeah, Ricky Starks and Will Hobbs were definitely all over him, so that was pretty good. That
was my bad, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just, I like it how they don't make Keith Lee look unstoppable. He can be stopped. It's going to take a lot. You're going to have to bring that truck with you, but he can definitely be stopped. I thought this made it, you get the new guys come in and sometimes they just almost look too powerful. They kind of fixed that with Keith Lee. He looked really good. But, hey, he can be taken out.
JR, you got anything to add?
We're going to get a big, meaty men slapping meat when we get Will Hobbs versus Keith Lee, and I'm all for it. I love those two big boys.
They teased them already in the ladder match, and they teased, the three-way. If you don't give us that three-way between Wardlow, Keith Lee, and Hobbs, I'm going to be pissed. But, yeah, I'm excited for that. We'll move over to the main event now. Shane Swerve Strickland in his AEW debut face-offs against Tony Nese, the premier athlete. This was really good. Honestly, I think getting Swerve the main event was great. I think it really helps in terms of just giving Swerve a nice spot. And I like how they put Tony Nese with him, a guy that can work really well with a lot of people. There was some really good stuff in this match. Eventually, just what happened was Tony Nese was proceeded to rolled into the middle of the ring, and then Swerve proceeded to just completely jump on the top rope, stomp on Tony Nese, and get the win. They didn't make him look like you said, didn't make him look unstoppable either. They gave Tony Nese a lot of offense as well, which is good. And I think this was a solid close off to the Rampage to get shine on Strickland, because I think he can do a lot of really good things in AEW. And I think it's cool that Tony Nese got this spot as well, too, because I think he's pretty good, too. But yeah, I guess that'll wrap it up for Rampage. JR, anything you want to say on this main event match?
It's what spotlight Swerve. He's your new free agent signing. You got to spotlight him. That's exactly what they did.
I'm gonna say he looked good. He was in the big spot on the Rampage on their main event show. I think he could have looked. I know he's not a dominant wrestler. I think he could have won a little more definitively. But you know what? That's nitpicking. I think congrats to Swerve. Glad he's here. Glad to see what they're doing. It looks like he's going to be presented bigger than he is. And bigger. And don't be surprised if he has like a group with him or, something with him. Because it looks like this is not just going to be like, oh, Swerve's a good wrestler. It's going to be, he's being presented differently.
Yeah. No question about it. But that, I think, is going to do it for this Rampage look over. We're going to quickly go over through the matches that have been announced for St. Patrick's Day Slam. Of course, we have Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa in the cage match for the women's title. We have Scorpio Sky versus Wardlow for the TNT title. And then Danielson and Mox are going to be teaming up to face off against Chucky T and Yuta of Best Friends.
Yeah, it's like this almost reads like a dark because it feels like it's gonna be pretty straightforward over who wins. It's like, okay, Thunder Rosa is gonna win the title, big event, women's cage match, main event of the show. That's huge. But honestly, if you got betting odds, I'm thinking it's at least 4-1. It's like Thunder Rosa is the overwhelming favorite. Scorpio Sky and Wardlow, I think everyone assumes MJF's going to interfere. They could do a big swerve by Wardlow just coming in and dominating Scorpio Sky and just winning. But I think everybody is convinced MJF is going to interfere. And then Danielson and Mox, come on. Come on. But only thing I can see in this, Willa Yuta was one of the names that he talked about and people that they could take under and get away from the Best Friends. Maybe they beat the crap out of this match, and this has maybe Yuta leaving to join Mox and Danielson's group.
Which I would be fine with, just because I think Best Friends is already pretty full with Trent, Chucky T, OC, and hell, they got Rocky Romero involved in there too for a little bit, but then also you got Statlander. So I think Yuta going over there would be really good for him. But unless, JR, you got anything else to add to this, I think we'll be getting close to wrapping up this episode of All Things Elite.
We are getting close.
The only two things is this whole Dynamite is to spotlight MJF, Wardlow, and Thunder going over in a big cage match.
Yeah, and I think that'll be given some pretty awesome moments, too, for AEW. But I think that'll wrap it up. The one thing I want to say, too, before I get through...
I did miss a match.
You did miss a match.
Hangman and Jurassic Express versus what will be Red Dragon and Adam Cole. I literally forgot it. They announced it on the show. We talked about it, but I think that's. I mean, look at the 6 people that are in it. It's going to be amazing.
You got Hangman, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly. Come on.
And I think these are the next contenders. So I think Cole and O'Reilly and Fish have to win to lead to them, Cole getting a title shot and then O'Reilly and Fish getting a tag title shot.
Yeah, I think that makes all the sense in the world. Before I go ahead and wrap things up and run through all the tags and all of our Twitters and everything like that, we all at All Things Elite, we should definitely say massive sending love to Big E. Goddamn, man, I feel terrible for that man. On SmackDown, he took a really nasty fall from a belly-to-belly suplex from Ridge Holland and landed directly on his head, had to be stretchered out, and it's confirmed he has a broken neck. Thankfully, somehow, I don't know how, he doesn't need surgery, and he said his strength still feels all right, and he still can move all of his digits. No, he's not paralyzed. That's bueno. But broken neck definitely sucks. I'm sure he'll most likely miss WrestleMania with this injury. Best of wishes to Big E. Get well soon, man. Nothing but love from over here. Dude is outstanding, and just, really tough. And again, it's pro wrestling. Like these things can happen, but it's scary when it does. But I'm glad that he's in good spirits because I mean, like that shit's scary.
Yeah, same. Don't really watch SmackDown all that much, but I saw all the Twitter stuff coming down. I don't ever watch it live. I always watch it in the morning. And I saw all the stuff coming down, and I saw it, and it made your stomach drops because as a football fan, and people that you see stuff like that happens, and it could have been much worse than it was. So I definitely he reported this morning. Just, it's a fracture, but no spinal cord damage, no surgery needed. I mean, that's the best case scenario. He's probably out. He's probably out for a while, which is the last thing that should be on anyone's mind. I'm just glad he's okay. Big E just seems like a genuinely nice person. I mean, I don't ever claim that. I very rarely claim that about wrestlers because, we don't know them. But good Lord, I've just never heard anybody say anything bad about Big E. Just ever.
Right.
And the one thing you hear about Big E's the nicest person in the world. So unless this is some kind of conspiracy, it seems like this dude's a pretty good guy.
Yeah, my heart goes out to Big E. In my previous life, when I was an amateur wrestler, I had a situation where I got kind of thrown and I landed on my head, and it was nowhere near what Big E went through, but I heard a pop, and it was a very frightening situation. And to go to see the chain of events when Big E fell, I immediately, my heart dropped to my stomach because it was such a nasty fall. I mean, he just got spiked on his head, and as soon as you see it, you see kind of his legs give out, and you start thinking about people like Stone Cold Steve Austin and Lita and Kurt Angle and Edge that had these significant neck injuries and how it altered their careers and their life. I mean, Austin to this day, I don't think is still normal because of that. And something you start worrying about, other situations where if there's a spinal injury, I mean, paralysis and, being a para or quadriplegic is very frightening. And so to see his videos he posted on Twitter that he's okay, even with the fractured neck, but he sounds like he's going to make, recovery to where, I mean, we're just talking about just quality of life right now. Like, we're not even talking about professional wrestling, just being able to walk and do what he loves, which is, exercising, hopefully he makes a fast recovery. But yeah, that was, it was horrific. I mean, I can't say it enough, when you see something like that.
Yeah. But again, like, best of luck to Big E in the recovery. Hope he gets better as soon as possible. And yeah, we're glad it's not as bad. It wasn't as bad as it could have been. But yeah, I'm glad that he's still in good spirits. And yeah, best wishes to Big E. Hope he's doing okay. But I think that will do it for this episode of All Things Elite, guys. Again, we want to thank JR once again for joining us on the podcast. It's always a pleasure for him to be here. JR, can you please let everybody know where they can find you on social media?
Yes, you can find me at Lucha Professor on Twitter. And just real quickly, I want to shout out the Inland Empire, Southern California, for selling 12,000 tickets to the California debut of AEW at the Fabulous Forum. The LA area doesn't necessarily have a good track record for selling out events, especially in the Forum in Inglewood. So to see that AEW in its first show in the state of California did 12,000 tickets within 24 hours between pre-sales and regular sales, I think was amazing. That show is I think if it's not sold out, it's very close to selling out. So congratulations to AEW for doing that, and hope all the fans are going to enjoy it. I expect them to put on a barn burner, which is essentially in the Young Bucks' backyard.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of All Things Elite. And also shout out to the Detroit show. I know that show's selling well as well. Guys, continue to download this fine show on Google or Apple Podcasts. If you listen to us on Spotify or any other podcasting platform, please give us a share with your friends, family, coworkers, whoever you wish. Leave a rating and a review. You can leave a donation through Red Circle if you're so inclined. We are at AT Elite Pod on Twitter, at Social Suplex. Those guys make this show completely possible. So check out all the other shows they have on their network. You won't be disappointed. I am at Austin Sumowitz, SZUMOWICZ. Floyd is at Floyd Johnson Jr. on Twitter, and I will go ahead and toss it to my boy Floyd so he can take us home for this episode of All Things Elite.
Well, Austin stole my ending with the Big E thing because that's what I was going to say. So I'm going to take this moment to shout out one of our fans at David Harmon6 on Twitter. David Harmon reached out, told me how much he enjoys listening to the show and that he can't wait to meet us if we in Chicago and Milwaukee. Let him know we'll probably be at All Out. So we definitely appreciate you listening. We appreciate you listening, David, and you have a good one. And I will leave you how I always leave you, whether it is home, work, or school. Always do your best to be elite.